It's Christmas Eve, 1945, in Fayetteville, West Virginia. George and Jenny Sodder, along with 9 of their 10 children, turn in for the night in their wood-framed family home. Around midnight, the phone rings. Jenny answers to hear a stranger's voice on the line, followed by a sharp, unsettling laugh. After hanging up, she notices the downstairs lights are all turned on, and the doors are completely unlocked. She secures the house and goes back to bed. At 1:30 a.m., she wakes up again. A heavy object hits the roof with a loud bang, and within minutes, the upstairs hallway is choking with thick black smoke. George and Jenny manage to escape with 4 of the children, but the remaining 5, Maurice, Martha, Louis, Jenny, and Betty, are trapped in their bedrooms on the burning second floor. After a search of the debris lasting only 2 hours, the local fire chief concluded that the 5 children had died in the fire. However, this official ruling ignored a series of physical anomalies that suggest the children may not have been in the house at all. The moment George Sodder realized his children were trapped, he faced a sequence of mechanical failures that effectively blocked any rescue attempt. First, the heavy house ladder he always kept resting against the siding was gone. It was later found hidden at the bottom of a nearby ditch. George tried to start both of his large work trucks to pull them alongside the house and reach the second-story windows. Even though both vehicles had functioned perfectly the previous afternoon, neither engine would turn over. Desperate for water, the family checked the rain barrels, but they were frozen solid. Meanwhile, neighbors trying to call for help got no answer from the local manual switchboard operator. Eventually, a neighbor drove directly to the fire station. Despite being only 2 miles away, the crew didn't arrive until 8 a.m., long after the house had burned to ash. Systematically disabling a family's ladder and work trucks suggests the fire was only part of a larger plan. These roadblocks served one specific purpose: to ensure the family was rendered immobile and unable to intervene or pursue anyone leaving the property. The official ruling rests entirely on the assumption that the fire chief was correct, that the children's bodies were reduced to ash. But cremation science suggests this was physically impossible. This chart compares the maximum temperature of a standard wood-framed house fire against the 1500-degree Fahrenheit baseline required for biological cremation. A residential fire typically lacks the intensity to completely vaporize human remains. Even inside a professional crematorium, the process takes hours and still leaves recognizable bone fragments and dental records behind. When professionals finally excavated the Sodder ashes, they found exactly 0 biological remains. No bone fragments, no teeth, and no traces of human flesh were recovered from the debris. Yet, in that exact same pile of ashes, investigators recovered recognizable household appliances and completely intact unburned tin cans. If the fire wasn't hot enough to destroy a thin tin can, it was physically incapable of incinerating 5 human skeletons. This leaves only one logical alternative: the children were not in the house when it collapsed. The potential motive for an abduction points to George Sodder's public life. As an Italian immigrant, he was a vocal critic of Benito Mussolini, which drew significant local hostility in the years leading up to the fire. The trail sat cooled for 23 years. Then, in 1968, Jenny Sodder received a letter postmarked from Central City, Kentucky. Inside was a photograph of a man in his late 20s who bore a striking resemblance to their missing son, Louis. Written on the back was a cryptic message: Louis Sodder, I love brother Frankie, ill old boys, A90132. The Sodders hired a private detective to travel to Kentucky and investigate the photo. Shortly after he arrived, the detective vanished and was never heard from again. A professional investigator vanishing mid-search suggested the family wasn't just chasing ghosts. They had finally pulled a thread that someone, somewhere, did not want unraveled. For the rest of their lives, the Sodders refused to accept the official narrative. They maintained a massive missing persons billboard along Route 60, keeping the faces of their 5 children in public view for decades. George and Jenny both passed away without ever learning the final fate of their 5 children. Their tragedy illustrates the danger of institutional convenience. By rushing to the conclusion of an accidental fire, law enforcement inadvertently protected whoever was responsible for the events of that night. Physical science does not bend to convenient police reports. In the ashes of the Sodder home, the total absence of evidence remains the most damning evidence of all.